Hello beautiful people, my spicy meatballs, and welcome back to the Gaijin Soprano. This is part 3 of my Mount Rushmore of Japanese video game series. In the previous 2 episodes we talked about Resident Evil and Final Fantasy. Go check those videos if you missed them. But this time we're staying within the family. A weird Japanese-made Italian family. You probably already realize what I'm talking about is the most successful, popular, loved, renowned video game series of all time. Created by the Kami-sama, the god amongst men, our Lord and Savior Shigeru Miyamoto. Literally everybody knows about this game. You can ask your mom, your grandma, your grandpa, their wheelchair, your dog, your hamster, your plant. Everybody loves this series. If you don't, check your souls, check your privileges, you're a terrorist. I introduce you.
It's me, Mario!
Yes, my Italian paisano Super Mario. The most famous Italian ever. The best plumber ever. The guy that, like any good Italian dude, would go through hell and beat the crap out of lizards to get a girl. And just like I did with the other series in the previous episodes, I'm gonna give you 3 rational reasons why the Super Mario series, the platforming series, deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore of Japanese video game series. Let's start from the antipasto. Reason number 1. Yes, Super Mario saved video games as we know them. On July 15th, 1983, Nintendo released the NES, called Famicom, here in Japan. The console sold really well, and this will make everybody think maybe that video games were fine, on the victory road, yay, pepe, but no, not really. Between 1983 and 1985, the North American market, the largest market for video games, was dead, kaput, finish, ciao. During what is called and what is referred to as the video game crash on 1983 or Atari Shock in Japan. During those 2 years, revenues in the video game business were falling by the billions. Revenues peaked at $3.2 billion in 1983 and they fell to $100 million in 1985. That's a drop of 97%. There were many reasons for this crash, for this Atari Shoku, the market saturation. There were so many consoles outside, different model of ColecoVision, Atari, Magnavox, too many available games, crappy games. Basically, companies were just popping out crap randomly. Kinda like what American people do with pizza toppings. They just randomly put shit on that. That makes no sense? Yeah, that. And because of all this crap being released on the market, the trust of the customers was completely lost because there was no faith in the quality and the quality control of video games. There was no official publishing control system at the time. And at the same time, in that period, the interest towards console gaming was wavering, was diminishing in favor of PCs that were becoming cheaper and also were marketed as a machine that not only would allow you to play video games, but you could also do other things like word processing, calculations. Actually, myself, before even the NES and the Famicom, I started with the Commodore 64, which was one of those PC, and it was owned by my older sister. Thanks, sis. So, video games at the time were thought as a fad, something destined to die soon, poof, vanish in the air. But when all seemed lost, once again, just like the Renaissance, Italy came to save the day. I mean, Mario was made in Japan, but whatever, let me brag a little bit about Italy. People were so scared at the time of the North American market that even the NES first just launched in select locations in the US. But in 1985, Nintendo started bundling the console with Super Mario Bros. And started selling the console nationwide, and boom! The sales of the console and video game were revitalized completely. I mean, Nintendo not only released one of the best, most revolutionary games of all time with Super Mario Bros., and I'll talk about that later, how revolutionary the game was, but one of the reasons this game saved video game is because Nintendo was smart marketing the game with the console. They made him a star, an icon. In the 80s alone, Mario appeared in 12 NES games. In many cases, those games were not even about Mario. It wasn't essential in those games at all. It was just a guest appearance in games like Tennis, the Golfer in Golf. It was a character in the Wrecking Crew. It was the referee in Punch-Out, Pinball in Tetris. Mario kinda became the symbol of the quality control of video games. If Mario was in that game, you would know that game was good. And this was one way to restore customer faith in video games. The NES became the best-selling video game console of the time and of its generation, selling 60 million units from a market that was thought as dead. Super Mario Bros., including the bundled version, became the best-selling video game of all time, and it stayed like that for 24 years, selling 40.2 million copies of the game. The only game that finally beat his record was Wii Sport in 2009, selling 60 million copies. Someone might argue that the NES, because it was a good console, was gonna sell regardless of Super Mario Bros. Somebody else maybe will come to save the day, if not Nintendo, but this is just speculations. The only thing I know is that sometimes, even if your product is good, you need a hero, you need an icon to reach the masses. Yeah, maybe the Chicago Bulls were gonna be good even without Michael Jordan, if they had Pippen and the others, but okay, take him out. Are they gonna win 6 titles? No, they're not. It's like taking olive oil out of Italian food. Done. You lost your champ. Let's go home. Mario became the Mickey Mouse of video games. The only difference is that people kinda know who Mickey Mouse is this day, but it's not relevant. Disney is not making the new big movies about Mickey Mouse. The Mario Bros. Series instead, 34 years later, is still at the peak of the industry. The best platformer on the market. One of the best-selling games on the market. Yeah, you, Disney rat, my Italian boy got you. You better watch your back. Reason number 2. The Super Mario Bros. Series revolutionized both 2D and 3D video games. Yeah, I know, the first Super Mario Bros. Might not have been the first platformer ever, but it was by far the most successful, and it became the archetype of all games in the genre, and many other games in different genres too. Instead of the action of the game happening on a single screen, like many games did back at those times, the game would scroll, meaning as long as Mario will move to the right direction, the screen will scroll with you. So this would open a whole new range of possibilities for traversal. In real time, Mario will go across levels. Many levels split in 8 different worlds, and in between those levels and worlds you would have secret areas. A thing that was not common at all back in those days. You could access hidden areas above in the clouds, in the sky, or hidden areas underground, accessible through pipes. The game gave exploration and the sense of discovery a whole new meaning that was not found in any other video game back in the days at the time. At least not an action video game like Super Mario was. The game made power-up cool. It was one of the very first games where power-ups would not only change your appearance, but the way the character controls. And the power-up themselves became an integral part of level design. The design of the level was studied according to the power-ups you were able to get. Because taller Mario can jump higher than shorter Mario. But shorter Mario is an easier way to access area with a shorter ceiling. So you could have a different way to deal with levels according to which power-up you could get. The game also created a whole new way of dealing with enemies. Back in those times, in most games, you either shoot at your enemy or you would have to just dodge them. Mario just created a simple idea of jumping on their head. Which sounds simple because many other game, every other platformer I would say, just adopted this idea, but Mario was the very first one to introduce it. So Mario in 2D was the very first game that combined in a efficient, proper way power-ups, item collecting, secrets, physics, tying all these elements together in one of the most revolutionary games of all time. And not only that, Mario, when he was still in 2D, created the idea of mascots appearing in games outside of their original genre. Mario eventually just decided to board on a go-kart and invented a new total genre in video games, the go-kart genre, with Super Mario Kart, which is something video games never did before. Okay, but now let's look at what Mario did for 3D video games. Mario 64 was the very first Mario in 3D, the launch game of the Nintendo 64 in 1996. This console, they came out with this analog stick on a pad, that thing no one has ever seen before, that opened a whole new range of possibilities and completely revolutionized the way we control characters in a 3D environment. That's why after the Nintendo 64, Sony introduced their analog sticks with the DualShock, and Sega did the same on the Saturn, is because most of the games at the time, like Resident Evil, would have tank-like controls. You can move in 4 fixed directions, but with the analog stick, for the first time, the character can move freely in all 8 directions. He can run circles around himself. If in many games you could do stuff like walk, run and jump, in Mario 64 you could run, jump, accelerate, which is an amazing thing. For the very first time you felt you could build momentum and you had total control of each and every step of your character during acceleration. Going back to my list: jump, run, accelerate, double jump, triple jump, long jump, backflip, side flip, wall jump, ground pound, hop up from his belly, punch, dive. And for the very first time in 3D, each and every of these movements was a joy to execute. You could link all of those movements without any stopping. If you play games from 96, and to be honest, most games from that generation in 3D, they don't hold up, they control bad compared to modern games. If you pick up Mario 64 now, 23 years later after its release, outside of some small refinement, the control scheme was perfect. There hasn't been many improvements above that. In a way that I still can't explain other than some alien technology and Miyamoto being a freaking alien himself, Nintendo, at their first attempt at 3D gaming, made the perfect control scheme that has never changed since then. And this freedom of movement goes together with another revolutionary characteristic of Mario 64, the freedom of choice. Yes, Mario 64 would have levels with objective. You have 6 stars in this level, you need a certain number of stars to reach the end game. But Mario 64 is a place of freedom of expression. It doesn't tell you what to do or how to do it. The game tells you, okay, there is a star on the top of this mountain. The game doesn't care how you reach that star, the top of that mountain. You can follow the easy road just walking. You can also try to do some crazy jump on these hills to reach the same objective. The game doesn't care which level you do first or later. The game just gives you a set of objective and a set of movement, and you do your thing to achieve the end goal freely. The very idea of non-linear objectives was not a thing at those times. In any other 3D game at the time, you had a beginning of the level, end of the level, and there was only one way to reach the end of that level. Red key opens red door. Point A is the beginning, point B is the ending. The way to go from point A to point B, it's 1, maybe 2. And you can't achieve it in different way according to your moveset and your ability to traverse the environment in different way according to how good you are at linking all these movements that the character has in Mario 64. Another innovation, camera control. For the very first time in 3D, you could freely move your camera, which was a necessary feature in order for you to understand the distance between platforms so you could measure your jumps. To give you a better understanding of how important Mario 64 was for the evolution of 3D games and movement in a 3D environment, Dan Houser, Vice President of Rockstar, the people behind GTA, and I'm quoting, said, "Anyone who makes a 3D game who says they have not borrowed something from Mario or Zelda is lying." Yeah, think about that. And reason number 3 Mario is for everyone. Mario is your family-friendly, average man that shows you that anybody can be a hero. Usually in video games, movies, everybody is a superhero, muscly guy, girl with superpower, vigilante. Mario is an average chubby Italian dude who enjoys eating pasta. Anybody can identify with that, nobody has a problem with that. It's just the underdog, is normal, is the perfect role model for anybody. And the games themselves don't hold your hand with long cutscenes, don't want to give you special messages other than just have fun. Explore, do funny things. Those games have perfect learning curves. The balance of the difficulty is perfect. Mario games can be enjoyed by anyone. Novices can have fun because its main gameplay elements are easy enough to grasp for anybody. And experts can have fun because if they can make the best use of the moveset of Mario, they can pull off crazy things. They can reach the same targets in an amazing, fashionable way. They can enjoy speedruns, they can catch the hardest stars to catch, find the most hidden secret areas, etc, etc. The game is just pure joy, the same joy that ties all gamers together. I would say Mario is the main instrument, outside of pizza, to spread love, Italian goodness. It's the direct link for everybody to their inner child. If an alien were to come on planet Earth and they would have never played a video game before and would ask us, hey, what's good? How can I have fun with this thing you call video games? The first thing I would tell them to play and I would show them is definitely Super Mario Bros. I'm pretty sure even alien would have a chuckle and have a good time looking at this funny looking Italian man. And if you don't agree with all of those things, yeah, you probably don't have a soul. And you don't deserve pizza. I'm gonna share the pizza with the aliens to make sure they don't invade and kill us all. You're welcome. We saved the planet once again. Huh. Alright, here you have it, part 3 of the Mount Rushmore of Japanese video game series. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and maybe share it with your friends. And maybe you can also register to my Twitch channel if you would like to follow my streams. See you soon guys, ciao!